Hello and welcome to another video. So Blood is in a tight spot right now in the current meta just because it does like any kind of decent powerhouse cards that can really swing the tide of battle at the moment. But we've put together a Blood deck that seems to do okay. Of course it definitely could do with some improvement, as I would love to add a couple more Vera, even if it was just one more Vera, and definitely add a couple more Legendary Fighter, as that card seems to do some really decent work. So other than those, honestly, you could just swap out any of the other major cards. So Bewitching Succubus, you could probably drop to 2. Buller, I'd probably keep it 3. Nightmare Devil, you could probably drop to 2 and still get away with this deck running fine if you want to run 2 of each extra legendaries. But overall, the deck is still pretty decent. It definitely will be good enough for daily missions. You could definitely use it on unranked to complete those very easily, which is why I'm covering it, because we're still going to have Blood missions and things where you may need a Blood deck. So covering one for you guys is exactly what I wanted to do. And Bats is one of my favorite archetypes, and we did get some nice Bat cards. I mean, you can't go wrong with Bewitching Succubus. That's a pretty nice forest bat card, and Restless Parish also has a bat mechanic on it, but most of the time is better off as just a draw card. So if you do enjoy this, of course, you will want to check this deck out. It's a lot of fun. So if you've got the cards, I recommend checking it out. If you don't go crafting the legendaries unless you absolutely want to, because it's definitely going to be a loss overall. Probably better legendaries to craft if you're short on some. So definitely only check this deck out if you are really interested in wanting to play Blood and you've already got the vials there to spare. So we'll get right into it and check it out. So Blood took a real hard hit with the rotation, losing a lot of its really good Vengeance activator cards, and nothing quite as good really is replacing them. There are a few cards that are trying, but they're still just not there. So honestly, this is probably the best you're going to get in the way of Blood decks for a little while. Of course, there is other variants of more control-y Blood type decks, but personally I haven't found much success with those either. So if you are just looking for a Blood deck to really complete missions and get things done, this is the one that you're going to want. So we start off with a very standard kind of hand. We don't really get anything too substantial. Snarling Chains is nice because it does give us that early game removal, which is what we want. Restless is also quite good, although sometimes you do want to hold it. You don't always want to play it immediately. Sometimes you do want the other effects on it, especially going into a rune matchup. So I do go for the Nightfall. That is going to get us some early game bats. Fortunately, Spheric Blade did come down. Of course, that does mean they've now wasted that on it, so I don't mind, considering it's a was a 2 cost for that one. Now we get our nice little bats flooding our board. And of course, Nova Flare. So they're running a really decent counter so far, being able to really hit everything. But at least Old Blood King should be fairly okay. This is kind of one of the key cards to the deck, of course. Old Blood King is going to get you the most damage and burst damage out of any card in this entire deck. So Vera, good chance to use it when you can Evo, especially since you will take a 0 damage. If I had have played this 100% right, I probably would have went for both Razor Claws, but I do go for the Summon Bloodkin because I want to get that burst while I can, whereas Razor I can really use anytime. Plus, I'm not too worried about my life total as we are already at 19, so we're well and truly ahead. But we did get a nice amount of damage. Since this deck is fairly aggro orientated with a lot of low cost cards and swarming abilities, really games will go quick. Usually, if you haven't won by turn 6 or 7 with this deck in particular, as most Bat decks are, you will probably be losing the match overall. As things stand right now though, not a bad spot to be in. Of course, turn 8 will be the real clincher, but we do get lucky and draw Savage Wolf, which with a nice little Evo, does put us very close to lethal. As long as our Old Blood King survives and we can get through a ward, we can win this match. Of course, turn 8 is definitely going to be the clinch here. If they had any kind of like healing or any just really difficult cards to deal with, we would have been in trouble. Which that is going to be a little bit of trouble. After all, the Restore 3 is going to slow us down. We really need a bat now. But they actually put us into Vengeance, hitting us with the Owl. So it did open up our Emeralda, which gave us an easy lethal. If they had have avoided putting us down, we would have been okay. But that makes me wonder if they had Giant Chimera. If they didn't, then they probably wouldn't have done that. So there are a few matches that are a pain for this deck. Haven, of course, is one of them. This matchup in particular isn't so bad because it is a Lion Haven, which means you're not too worried about them healing too much. They've only got minimal heals in Lion most of the time. Tenko, on the other hand, can be a nightmare for Blood, which I think is why Blood is suffering a lot harder than it probably could have, because Tenko is so popular. The healing just really limits what an aggro Blood deck can do. But outside of that, other than this matchup, I think Sword is probably one of the only really hard matchups for this deck, just because they can swarm with a little bit higher value cards. So when you're playing a bunch of 1/1s, they're playing 1/2s or 2/2s, and that really makes it hard to come back from. Of course, that doesn't mean you can't give them a good run for their money. So we start off very solid. 4 damage, turn 3, plus our Parish, which is going to get us at least a decent draw here. And we've still got our Snarling Chains and Bewitching Succubus. So we are going to be able to score at least 5 damage in this next turn. And we have another Summon Bloodkin, so why not boost the board? This is the kind of hand you want in this matchup, where you can just kind of flood. Of course, this healing is pretty hard to beat. You also don't want to see any kind of big clears from your opponent when you're playing this deck, so any kind of low cost wide boards are going to be difficult. That's where Dragon can be a little bit of a problem, because they do have some pretty decent wide clears. But we're going to get a fairly comfortable amount of damage, another 4 this turn, putting them at 7. We only need 4 damage with this Razor Claw to win the match. Of course, they are probably going to go for some healing, which, seeing that, is most likely the case. So we are relying on probably top decking something substantial. So with what we'll probably have left, we need probably a Wolf, I think. That will be the closer. Because a Wolf plus the 2 Bats and the Razoring is just enough to win this match. And of course we do get the Wolf. We also could have won with a 3rd Razor Claw. That also would have closed the game, but this worked just nicely.
Your strength is undeniable.
And for the last match of this video, we do have a Bloodcraft, and they have Spinaria, which makes me a little jealous. Still a card that I haven't managed to get from the new set, Spinaria. I really wanted her leader card, because she's one of my favorites, and that would just be amazing to have. So we start off with a pretty average hand, honestly. I'm not a fan of getting Demonic Officer this early. It's definitely your late game card. It's if you get to turn 7 and you need a decent card to kind of close the game or remove an amulet, that's the one you want. So we can go for the early Parish. I have started playing that a lot more early now instead of holding them, which definitely made the matches go a lot smoother. Any kind of 0 cost draw mechanic is going to be good. So we get a pretty okay draw. Old Bloodkin plus the Gift of Bloodkin. Going to be super handy. And we can go for our legendary fighter now. He just needs to kind of stick around, if you know what I mean. And of course, Spheric Blade deals with it. A little bit disappointed. If I had have held on to my amulet, he would have been a little bit better, but I didn't really want to hold on to that. Legendary fighter is definitely a card you want to be able to stick to the board once, and then abuse after that. But he also makes really good bait. Being so low cost, you can definitely draw out some cards. So there's that Icarus, really putting me on edge. These bats definitely don't have the face for it. Biofab, so they're definitely aiming for really low cost things. Plus Excel, so they're going to be able to really hammer this in now. But it's not too bad. A 4-2 being the only thing on board. We're not quite in Vengeance, so we're not abusing that yet. We can go for the old Bloodkin and a single Gift of Bloodkin. That will allow us to deal with the 4-2 and leave them with just a 1-1 taking up a board space. Definitely a board I'm happy with. And then Deus Ex Machina, okay, a little bit of a problem. I mean, that does mean they're going to be drawing crap out of their deck, and we don't really want to see that. They also have these sweet Des sleeves, which is unfortunately I missed out on. But we can now start going for our Swarm plays. So we're going for as much damage as we can right now, just before they can do anything crazy. This is going to let us go for 8 damage, putting them at 9. which with a Vania and Evo and our blood still on board, we should be okay. Of course, it can be easy to mess up. There was definitely a situation here where I probably could have played better, I guess, but it's definitely still a worthwhile match to play out. Portal makes for a lot of fun against this blood deck. So they did go for the complete clear, for pretty much for free at that point. A little disappointed. And now they're going extremely wide. So Guardian Golem definitely makes sense to play defensively against this deck. Luckily this was something like Demonic Officer, if you get drawn into a longer game, comes in handy. And we got the Parish. So we're definitely going to need to use this Evo, which disappoints me because I really wanted to use it to finish the game off. But when you're in a situation like this, you can't afford to take any big risks. So banking sure to deal with the board as effectively as I can was definitely the way to go. Now we're just aiming for pretty much any back card. So Ancient Artifact, picking off my 6-3. And they're just kind of swarming the board, so that's okay. We are in Vengeance, which means Vania gets to be usable. We are going to draw another card, and it happened to be Red Talon Strike and another Vania, which is actually perfect. Red Talon Strike will be enough to give us lethal. It actually puts us on a perfect lethal. I couldn't have asked for a better draw there. Of course, any bat summoning card would have done the job though. Well, actually, I would have needed at least 2 bats, so not any bat card, but almost any bat card would have been fine. So to me it seems like no matter what meta you're playing in, bats are always going to be a reliable deck. Of course, that doesn't mean they're definitely top tier, it just means they aren't bad. They're definitely sitting in that kind of reasonable ground to be played. You could probably even get away with this deck without Legendary Fighter and Vera and just add a couple more kind of bat cards, and that would obviously lower the cost of the deck and make it a little more affordable. But if you want the deck to be more effective and have higher win rates, of course you definitely want these. But overall, this is just a great and fun deck, and I really enjoy playing bats. I always have fun when I do. I just don't know why, but that's always the case. So if you did enjoy the video, hit the like button and subscribe. As always, you'll find the deck list in the description below, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.